Welcome into the Sports Buffoons Podcast. Let's get it going out there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls out there of the world. Welcome on into the Sports Buffoon Studios once again for episode, God knows what we're on at this point, Tanner. Probably 150 by now. I don't know.
That's a lot.
We've lost track, but either way, guys, we're glad to be here, of course, once again, and a nice little rundown today of what's going on in the NFL, I would say, as well as, of course, as you guys saw in the thumbnail, your easy money bets of the week. I once again nailed mine last week. I had the Atlanta Falcons covering the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 8.5, and actually they covered, and they only lost by 6. So I'll take my W on that one. But
yeah, good comeback there.
We'll get more on the table for you guys here, of course, once again. And we have a lot of great matchups this week. Obviously, here's the crazy thing, guys. For the first time in Mahomes' home career, Patrick Mahomes is a underdog.
At home.
Yep. So that's what I mean. So 2.5 right now is the line favoring Buffalo Bills. And that's going to be interesting. Want to see how that plays out. But we'll save the Chiefs talk for a few minutes from now. First and foremost, what you guys sipping on?
Some high quality H2O.
High quality H2O. You had some barbecue, Tanner? Is that what you did out here in Kansas City?
Yep, good old Smoketown barbecue down there in Shawnee Mission.
I've never even heard of Smoketown barbecue. So
they do a really good job.
Have you been there before?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're pretty solid spot.
Gather up the neighbors and head on over there and have a powwow. All right.
You've never heard of it. I'm going to give you guys some solid advice right now. In terms of Kansas City area barbecue, if you've never heard of it, please don't go there. I will save yourself the trouble right now.
You're such a Casey Joe's guy.
Hey,
you're such a Casey Joe's guy.
Everybody knows.
How about you go try something else than
what
Casey
is it,
Joe's?
Mike? It's trash. If you've never heard of it, it's trash.
I've never heard of it personally, but why are you calling it the Casey Joe's guys? I'm a Casey Joe's guy.
Because the Casey Joe's guys don't like any other barbecue.
No, I like Slaps. I like Q39.
Oh, Slaps.
So you're the exception.
Big fan of a bunch. I don't need to.
Have you tried Woodyard? Have you tried?
Yeah, I've had
they're
many
good.
other things. I've just never heard of
Smoketown. Solid. They have really good brisket.
That's all. And then Hayward's, of course, that used to be around the corner.
Solid.
Hayward's is a good one. I mean, that's close by to here. So
yep.
No hate.
You know what? I changed my mind. Give it a shot, guys.
It's good stuff. There's the specialty sandwiches out there too.
So anyways, Jason, what are you sipping on?
I've switched to a full-time buzzballer.
Full-time
buzzballer. Big ballers. I'm a full-time buzzballer.
Nice. I like that quite a bit.
What do you got, Mike?
Is that I'm falling in line. I'm gonna crack this one open.
You know, sometimes it is time to fall in line in the society that we live in today. Just fall in line.
I'll follow your lead for this.
I started a trend.
I feel like you should be following my lead with a lot of my opinions and takes on things, and just
do
what I say, and don't worry about the reasons why. Just do it. Now I'm going with you here on the Buzzball today, so I'll be sipping on that here throughout the show, I would say. So, guys, first and foremost, we had a hell of a week. Chiefs got a victory, nice victory over the Raiders, 30-29, and controversial calls, of course. We'll get into that in a minute. But here coming into week 6. I'm very curious to see what you guys have this week for the betting lines. What are your bets of the week? What are your takes of the week here in Kansas? Of course, things are legalized now, so we're able to actually make bets, place bets anytime we feel like it. You could be sitting on a toilet, whatever you're into for your throne of choice to make your thoughts put into.
I got records if you want them. What we're all sitting at.
You have what?
I know I'm 4-1. So I lost last week, but I am 4-1 on my easy.
You are not 4-1.
So
I haven't looked, but I think I might. Tanner, I don't know, but I think I might be 5-0.
You're 5-0, Mike.
I have not missed a single easy money bet yet this year.
So he just barely beat the easy money JG bets.
Yeah,
congratulations,
barely.
Man. Just barely.
I'm undefeated, so I'm doing well on that.
I gotta one up you, man. I gotta get
JG,
on track here.
You're close. You're just right behind me.
Damn it,
JG, you're not quite to the undefeated mark just yet, but you are sitting at 1-4.
Oh, that's bull jive.
And I'm sitting at 1-3 because I
just realized we're not allowed to cuss on this show anymore, so I have to say bull jive. That's bull jive.
That's
not true.
Mike pointed out I did not make a pick in week 1. So
right, because we asked you the
talked
question
about it,
and you just
but we didn't. I didn't
yapped, and then you never made a choice.
Week 3, I couldn't really find any picks that were made going into week 3. Like we talked about a lot of different stuff going into play, and there was never really like, hey, this is my bet, this is what here. So I
Well,
avoided week 3.
maybe we don't necessarily need to make a choice every show, I would say, but I would say that when we have a right feeling about something, we should be putting it out there for the rest of the world.
I like
to
the
listen
betting.
to.
Though. I like betting every show though. I think this is very fun. This is very
Of
fun.
course, we need
track.
to have at least one opinion or one bet per week, and because I know I'm going to have one. I mean,
Yeah.
I bet every week now. It seems like so.
So last week, I'll go about it. Mike did Atlanta plus 8.5.
Right, and
They
the
hit it.
line turned into plus 10, by the way.
It did.
So, but I still had the 8.5 on the show, which still counted.
Still counted.
So I'll take it.
JG had Pitt doing plus 14. Ended up losing that bet in the first quarter. So
And
you know.
I don't feel bad about it.
I don't
because
feel- I wouldn't
I'm
feel bad.
4-1. Like I said, that was the first. That
4-1.
was my first
Yep,
loss of
yep.
the season.
totally ours.
I'm gonna make it up to you guys though.
And then I had South
Yeah.
Carolina at plus 7.5, beating Kentucky actually, and that ended up happening. So
Alright.
Kentucky going down for
So
the
you
college
got a
football.
win on that one.
I did get a win.
Okay, underdog win even.
Yes, it was.
So that's
In
nice.
college ball. So I just wanted to point out too, the previous week, JG had Texans plus 5.5, and then he went on and doubled down with the Pittsburgh at our favorite at 3.5,
Double down, baby.
and they
Double
both
down.
lost. And then Mike
That's not
had
true.
Pat. It is.
That's not true.
Pat had Mike had Pats at plus 10.5. They ended up winning
Right.
that one, or not winning, but they lost to the Packers by like 3 or something like that.
Right. It went to overtime.
Yeah.
So
And then Cardinals at plus 1.5 on the Panthers, who ended up winning. And then I had Old Dominion money line, which ended up losing by 2 freaking points at the end.
All right, so Tanner, now that you're done with your misinformation about my picks, can you please just throw out some easy money?
we need some fact
Bets.
checkers to come around here.
I want to see your
Get
predictions.
rooters over here.
Give me your damn predictions for this week.
I'm pulling out the big cojones on this one, guys. This is probably the matchup of the week in college football. It is college football once again, because I'm not betting NFL on this, because you guys take care of that. Big matchup, number 10 versus number 5 at number 5. This is a Big Ten matchup. Penn State, Michigan at Michigan. Up 7-point spread currently coming into play. Give me the Penn State money line up plus 215 coming into play. Penn State beats Michigan in Michigan and takes over take over the Big Ten, aka right under Ohio State. So give me Penn State to win this game over Michigan.
Yeah, I don't honestly hate that pick. I don't know if I agree with it. I would probably just take the points there.
I'm
Personally,
dropping big cojones on
But you're
this.
going money line,
I'm going money
which
line.
means you have them winning the actual
Yeah.
game, which would obviously pay out better than just going based off the spread. But okay, I got you. Let's hope you can get on the board for a victory.
I got a
I
board
know you
last
board.
week.
Look, you both are on the board
We're-
once.
He's 1-4. I'm 1-3.
You're both on the board once.
I'm on the
No.
board with one loss. If that counts.
Now,
as something.
1
what's
and 4,
funny?
1
What's
and
funny is
3.
before this week, I was talking to my buddy AC, who, if you're listening, thank you so much. And he's just like, it's like I don't know about that easy money bet segment you guys do anymore. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm undefeated. I haven't lost yet on any of my picks. So if there's someone that's spitting out some wrong things, then it's not coming from over here.
Well, here's the thing: if one guy's undefeated, you should probably bet with him. If one of the rest of us are have lost quite a few in a row, eventually it's going to turn around, and you should probably try to ride that hot streak. when
Well,
the guy
Tanner
turns
is going
around.
for a higher risk.
I'm going on the. I'm
Take
dropping
care.
the big cojones on
So
this one.
I'm giving you guys more of a 50-50 shot here, but I love this week. You guys hated my pick last week. You guys gave me the dirty look.
I did. I
and-
had faith
and-
in the Buccaneers
I
being
didn't
all
give you a
healthy.
dirt- I was
Oh, you
drunk.
gave me
Look,
a dirty
I was
look.
drunk.
Look,
I
yeah,
didn't mean to do
yeah.
that.
Kyle Pitts out. You had who else was out? Cordell Patterson out, and I felt like that offense wasn't going to move for Atlanta, and they ended up coming back in the fourth quarter to cover.
They
that
probably should have won the
8.5.
game, but Grady Jarrett, in that call and all that, you never know. So things
Well,
could have ended up different. Who knows? All right. Anyways, guys, one of my favorite games this week, I never thought I would say this, is actually the Jets and the Packers,
I knew you were gonna
both
say
sitting
that.
at
I knew
3-2 on the season. The current line right now at Green Bay is minus 7.5 for the Packers, and I'm loving the Jets to cover this. I'm not saying they're going to win the game. I'm saying they'll cover that 7.5 though, and I think this is going to be a fantastic game. And I think the Jets are coming alive. Some of the playmakers, Brees Hall, of course, had 197 yards last week, 100 yards in the air, 97 yards on the ground. He's really coming into his own. And thank goodness I made that my choice instead of Eli Mitchell, because Tanner got screwed by my
Elijah's
selection.
just sitting nicely on the IR right now.
Right. And so and that was all because in our draft, I couldn't decide one or the other because I liked both.
Because you were 12th,
And-
right? So you were last.
Yes.
So you had to go out and get a
So-
guy.
But I want you guys know how much I like Brees Hall.
Yeah.
You guys know coming into this year how much I liked Brees Hall. He's had a really good year so far for a rookie, especially with the Jets. And
Correct.
Eli Mitchell got injured
And-
in week 2.
I got nothing to say about Brees Hall
Yeah.
except that you were right from the very beginning.
I'm just glad I
That's
made
all can
him
say.
my choice
Like,
because
Literally, it was.
I would
a-
have been screwed
it was-
over.
I was
instead of
getting
you
the
guys
guy
did.
that Mike was not choosing essentially at that point because I was waiting until that next round
Right.
to get Brees, and then he ended up going Brees and Elijah.
And
so-
you guys know how much I liked Brees Hall going into the year. I was a huge
Yeah.
fan of him.
Yeah.
So he's panning out well in the NFL so far, helping the Jets offense quite a bit. So I think he's going to be an active part of this game coming up once again. And I believe in the Jets right now to keep games close. I don't think that they're necessarily a great team by any means, but I think the Packers are also a team that are figuring out who they really are right now. Still in the meantime, as great as Aaron Rodgers is, that offense, I don't know if they have an identity yet figured out what they want to be this year. So I like that 7.5 for the Jets.
I like it.
covered.
I like that bet a lot. Hey, Surya, hang tight. We'll answer your fantasy question here in just a minute. We'll get JG's easy money to bet. Then we'll answer your question. So hang tight here. We'll answer that for you.
So I like that, Mike. Very bold pick. I like bold picks. You're putting your trust in the Jets, and I think it's a good solid pick. We'll see how that pans out. I'll give you guys 2 picks as I usually do. I actually did not like the games. Like there are a lot of games that I just didn't really want to mess with this week, but I did come up with 2 good ones. So I really like Baltimore -6 at the Giants. So Baltimore is 3-2. The Giants are 4-1.
Oh,
And I'm going to go with Baltimore in this game to cover on the road. Obviously, we know that Brian Dable is doing some great things over there in New York. Daniel Jones actually looks like sometimes he might actually be an NFL quarterback, so he's improving a little bit. But Baltimore, to me, is they're a little bit better than 3-2. I don't feel like they're a 3-2 team, and I certainly don't think that the Giants are a 4-1 team right now. And I don't see this as being a close game. So I am going to take Baltimore to cover the -6. The other game I'm looking at is the LA Chargers. They are -5 at home versus the Denver Broncos. And normally, I think I would take Denver to cover in this game. But the problem is that Russell Wilson has a partially torn lat in his throwing shoulder.
I don't want to hear
That is a huge problem for me. And this could easily turn into a blowout scenario. So I am going to take the LA Chargers to cover -5 at home versus the Broncos.
Very nice. I like both of those there quite a bit. I think that's going to work out pretty well. Well, going into the season, I like the Chargers quite a bit. I think they still have a lot of potential. Obviously, it's not started off as strong as we'd hoped, but in a lot of ways, Denver is who I thought they were. Maybe they're actually worse than I thought they were, as a matter of
They're
fact.
so bad.
Just a little bit, but guys,
Well, if
We
your
talked-
shoulder is fucked up and you're the quarterback, of course your team's going to be.
look,
sit out.
when Russell Wilson,
I have
when-
no remorse for that
when
guy.
when Rahul Wilhelm became a part of the Denver Broncos, I remember sitting there going, like, should we be this excited? Like his weapons in Seattle were Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. He's now going to Denver, which is actually a lesser version of both of those guys. And we're supposed to just be like, oh, woo, Denver's going to win 10 games now. And like, that's what people wanted to act like.
Better defense.
And
Better defense.
but it's not that much better. I know you are in favor of the Broncos defense. I still think it's kind of a facade. I don't think that's a great defense by any means. I think it's a very beatable defense. But that offense is just god awful. And Russell Wilson struggled with consistency in Seattle, especially within the past year. And he's bringing that over to Denver, and the fans are getting pissed off about it by now.
Uh-huh.
But I never believed in Russell Wilson to be the savior. I believed in the running game because I liked Javonte Williams, and I think Melvin Gordon is a viable running back at times when he's not fumbling the ball. But I never looked at Denver and went, "Oh, they're going to become a better team now because of Russell Wilson." Honestly, it's pretty much going to be the same as what they have with Drew Lock, just less turnovers.
Well, here's the thing about the Denver defense. I was a big believer in them until Russell Wilson got injured. And now that he's injured and we don't know what he's going to be able to produce, at some point, if the Denver offense can't stay on the field and sustain a drive, then you're also screwing over the defense as
What
well.
do you mean you don't know what he's going to be able to produce?
His shoulder is
He
fucked
already
up.
was playing with an injury.
His shoulder is fucked
Dude,
up, dude. It's basically the same injury as Dak
You're going to
Prescott,
see.
except he's still going to play.
You're going to see exactly what you've seen the last 3 weeks. That's what you saw. That's what you're going to see. When
I don't trust him, man.
I don't
end of
trust
the
Russell Wilson.
As
either.
bad as
It's
that
bad.
offense was, before he got injured, now you're going to tell me that they're going to
It's even worse?
turn it around.
It can't get any worse, right?
So they're not going to get any better. I mean,
But-
you got to be able to stay on the field. Otherwise, your defense is going to get gassed.
Look, this
But
is
your bet is correct. Chargers to cover the 5.
Yes,
Cowboys 5. So
they will cover. 5.
Okay.
So Bet MGM has 4.5. FanDuel's at 4.5. Caesar's
Well, if there's
at
4.5, then
So you can
absolutely
still
take that.
get 5 at DraftKings still. For
Okay,
that, so.
but if you can get a 4.5, grab the 4.5. I mean,
Yeah.
why not? So I totally agree with that. But I also like his first pick as well.
So this is going to be 3 bad defenses Denver's going to be going against that they should have opened up by now. So Las Vegas, the Colts, and now Los Angeles.
Right.
So
And it's not going to happen. They're not going to be able to get it going.
and yeah, we're going to see them on prime time 900 more times probably.
I'm
Oh.
telling you guys, I'm not going to hit on Denver the rest of the year until I see how bad that shoulder is going to
Well,
affect him.
The good news is this week you're going to go 2-0. I'm going to go 1-0. Tanner, I don't know about his pick.
No, we don't. Well, that's
So
what I love about
like
it.
both of your picks.
Well, I'm going to go basically 7-1 now, or 6-1. I've only
Yeah,
just-
you'd be 6-1
yeah, I'm
after
6-1
this
now
because he's going to
after
get both
this.
of those
I'm gonna
right.
hit both of
Totally.
those.
Totally.
So,
Well,
I like it.
maybe I'll post some picks.
What was
now.
our fantasy question?
All
Tanner?
right. So Sergey, I assume I said that right. Thank you for commenting and checking in here. He goes, "Hey, I am 0-5 with Herbie, Cook, Aaron Jones, Amon Ra, Jamar, Andrews, and recently traded for Waddle for a flex. Who should I trade and for who? I have also Ken Walker, Jacobs, and Hawkinson on the bench."
I mean, okay, so the 0-5 thing what's the context of that? Because my question now, Tanner, is you have a team that obviously has some pretty solid weapons on it. Somehow you're 0-5. Maybe you've been losing some games by a point or two, but
Some dumb luck too.
and bad luck. I mean, that happens in fantasy for
It's
sure.
all about
I'm
the
about it.
points
But
force,
so
right?
so
What's
now
your points force
his
compared to the
question
rest of the
is
league?
his question is who to trade for at this point to get back on the winning track, or
I assume getting back on the winning
because,
winning
I
track.
mean, you can't fall
When
to
you're
0-6.
0-5,
If you
I
fall
mean,
0-6, you're in big trouble.
It's a tough go, right? So you do got Cook, you got Jones, so you're solid there. Amon Ra is back. Chase is getting his targets because Higgins is still beat up, and Andrews. So you got solid there. You got Waddle into play. Ken Walker's going to have a huge increase to roll with Penny's out for the year now, and Jacobs actually has been running fairly well for a mid-tier or mid-round running back. I don't even know.
I don't know that necessarily any trades need to go down.
Just
I think that this is a good team.
yeah.
I mean, I'm guessing this may be a 10-man team. if I had to guess.
I'd have to guess a 10 man if they got Cook and
Um,
Jones.
Yeah, it sounds like a 10-man team.
10
to
man
me.
league. on
At
that.
some point, you just
Um,
have to let it ride. Like if you believe in your
right.
team, you believe in your
And-
roster. It sounds like a pretty good roster.
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes,
sometimes
it's
you
just
just gotta let it ride.
monitor waiver wire and
And,
ride with it.
who's the quarterback again?
He didn't say quarterback. Who's your quarterback, Sergey? Drop it in the comments there.
Yeah, that kind of makes
Yeah.
a difference. if we
'Cause
get
But
that
I mean, the
could be
rest, the
why.
rest of the guys in that roster are really solid. So
They are. Like Herbie's not going to get as much carries now that Montgomery's back. And then also
Right.
Hawkinson, with that. I mean, he's one week he blows up
No,
for
but
30.
he's got
Last
Mark
week he blows up
Andrews
for
to
1.
here,
I know.
so
So you don't need.
not even worried about
Andrews.
tight end there.
No. So I don't know. It doesn't sound like a bad team by any means. It just sounds like you've had probably dumb luck. You probably had Amon Ra out. Jamar Chase hasn't gotten his 30 burger at all. Andrew
I mean, if you-
struggled last
If
week.
you were going to make any kind of trade, I would say combine 2 of something to get one bigger piece.
Mhm.
But it'd be hard to. You have to look at the rest of your league and figure out how that's going to work. So that's a tough one just because we don't know the context of the rest
Yeah,
of that league.
let's see who his quarterback is, because if he comes back and says, "Oh, it was Baker Mayfield," then that's
Well, then we have a lot more other things to
It's
figure out.
especially in a 10 man.
Right. Then we're like, all right, what are you doing here? You gotta figure this thing out. But I mean, yeah, that's I mean, let's say he has a Justin Herbert. Maybe that's who his quarterback is. He's dealt with the rib injuries and
Mhm.
it's maybe failed because of that situation going on. But in that case, I don't know. I would figure out a way to get an upgrade in some way. But Herbert's going to be healthier here coming up. I mean, it's just taking time to heal, and then you should be fine.
Yeah,
But
that's all it
it's
is.
just hypothetically speaking, since we don't know the answers on that one. So
So I'll see what he comes back with here.
right. All right. Well, I appreciate the question anyway, though, because we love talking fantasy here, and we will get to fantasy, by the way, towards the end of this show. So
Yep.
stay tuned for our buy low, sell high. Or did I say that right? Yeah, buy low, sell high
Yeah, you're right.
segment. Okay, I thought I reversed them right there. Like let's buy high, sell low. Like the stock market. When it goes down, you got to sell. No.
Well, Mike is sober today, so it happens. from time to
Yeah,
time.
it happens.
We slip up every
The
once in a while
buzz
with the
balls are
words.
not quite doing their job yet. So,
Oh, man.
guys, so this past week in the NFL, we saw quite a hiccup, I feel like, an overreaction to the Tua Tagovailoa.
One second. So you said he missed that. Will you give us your league? I assume it's a 10-man. Your QB on your roster, or QBs if you have multiple, and then if it's full PPR, half PPR, that helps too. So, but if you can give me that, but we don't think you have a bad roster. There's no
Otherwise, the roster
necessarily
looks good.
moves to make unless you're going to go for like trade 2 for one big one. But we like your roster. I would definitely start Ken Walker between buys, of course, with Cook and Jones. So, but you have a good roster. But who's your quarterback? Let us know. Drop it in the comment.
All right,
Sorry.
guys.
Okay.
You're good. All right. So here's the situation we're running into right now in the NFL. And I found probably my saddest and most disheartened feeling I've had about football in a very, very long time this past weekend or past Monday night, I should say. And it had nothing to do with the fact that Chris Jones and the Chiefs got screwed over on a bad call of a roughing the passer penalty. It had everything to do with the fact of watching this thing unfold, watching football being played the right way, and then it being ripped away from me as a fan of the sport and someone who loves this game and has cared about this game since he was a little kid. A part of me goes, this is no longer football anymore if this is the way we're going to start calling these games. And some of my soul was ripped out during the play of Chris Jones sacking Derek Carr and that strip fumble. And, it had less to do. And yes, I was pissed off about the play to begin with because, the Chiefs had an opportunity right there to capitalize and they
Turnover sack.
turned away from you. But then the Grady Jarrett situation there on Sunday with Tom Brady, where he literally just grabs him by the hips, swings him onto the ground, normal sack. First of all, you can't go too low around the knees or ankles, can't go too high around the head, wraps him around the hips, and then takes him to the ground. I mean, it's about as
And it wasn't
it's
hard
exactly
either.
no.
it was just a sack.
First of all, Grady Jarrett weighs 320, and he's just doing his job to get the quarterback to the ground. That's the job of the D lineman. Otherwise, take away the D line, play 7-on-7, screw it. And I would hate to see that happen to the NFL. And so I was very frustrated just kind of witnessing what happened over the weekend between those two plays and just kind of the overreaction of quarterback protection. Because at some point, it's like, I understand you're trying to protect your big names of the league or whatever, or you're trying to protect your quarterbacks around the league. But at some point, you're taking away from what the game is really meant to be. And, the referee in the situation of the Chiefs game, Carl Schaefer's, it was not his first hiccup he's ever had in his career so far. The guy's made plenty of terrible calls. And really, my biggest issue with that in general is that referees are not held accountable whatsoever for bad calls. These guys are not fined or fired. They are let to just do whatever the hell they want to do and, make a bad call. Guess what? You get to go out there next week and do it again. And we're not going to sit there and worry about how to take care of you. Or maybe you need to go back to a training program to understand how to make correct calls, because some of these plays are subjective and we just let their at times biased subjectivity take away the game and take ownership and control of the game. And the NFL has their voice in the ears of these referees at all times about what you need to focus on week to week, because this past week this thing happened, this week we really want to focus on this. Okay, that's not helping the teams and the coaches and players who are involved in this sport know what to expect week after week. We want consistency. Whenever Mahomes in this same game against the Raiders took the exact same sack but harder, where he was flung down by the waist for Max Crosby, which is also should be a legal sack.
Correct.
We saw that happen. It's like, so why is it okay in this game, but yet in that Grady Jarrett situation with Tom Brady, it was not okay in that game?
I mean, 2 different refereeing careers. We know
exactly.
that.
That's the problem. Subjectivity in this sport needs to be removed. And I don't care what we got to do to go about it. I think what Chris Jones said after the game was great because Chris Jones did a wonderful job staying as humble as he could, not letting too many, not get too riled up after the game, calling names and so on. Cause I know he wanted to, I'm sure. Cause there was only a few years ago, Travis Kelce said about the same referee, he shouldn't be allowed to work at Foot Locker.
Yep.
The same exact referee that screwed over the Chiefs in a Steelers playoff game just about 6 years ago, 5-6 years ago.
The whole Harrison situation.
Same. Yep. Same. So same exact referee comes and makes this call. Chris Jones talks to the media afterwards, says that he thinks that these things should be reviewable. These roughing the passer penalties, should be reviewable, similar to how the NFL originally stated that they would make pass interference reviewable, which we never see. It's not something we see ever happen anymore. But still, the point is, I care about getting the call right. I don't care what it's going to take. I don't care how long it's going to take. I want the correct call to be made on the field at all times. And if you got to sit there and review the damn thing for 10 minutes to get the right call that's going to be a game-changing call correctly made, that needs to happen. And Chris Jones has had a very frustrating career dealing with referees now. And, it was just here it was in, week 3 against the Colts.
Yeah.
Where he says something to Matt Ryan, and we'll never know what the hell he said because they'll never disclose that information. But he said something, but yet Max Crosby can get up in Mahomes' face and helmet to helmet with them and, doing the whole intimidation factor thing. And we're just going to act like no big deal. Somehow that's okay.
An extended period versus not extended period too. There's different categories.
Chris Jones making a play on third down, which gives the Chiefs the ball then in that situation to probably close out the game and get a victory, now is ruined in that Colts game because of some words that he said that we'll never know what he said.
Yeah.
But my point is there's not consistency in this game right now. And that's the most frustrating part for fans, teams, coaches, is because that's all we ask for. Bring consistency. And Jason, you're a big NBA guy. And I'm sure you've seen the worst calls of all the calls because we have also known there were referees involved in that sport who had money on the line from game to game. I mean, there's been documentaries put out about it by now. So anyways, my question to you guys is, do you think that these plays that happen here in football are getting, is it too ticky-tack at this point? Should it be reviewable? And what's the right direction the NFL should go down towards fixing the situation? Because what happened this past weekend flat out cannot be happening throughout the rest of this year because you're ruining the game.
JG, I'm going to let you go first because I already kind of discussed this on Buffoon and Botkins right after that play happened. And I'll say it here as well, but I'll let you go first, though.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of threw a wrench into the situation when we talked about Chris Jones and what he possibly may or may not have said during that Colts game. And then he alluded to the NBA. I mean, we all know that in the NBA, Tim Duncan, they called a technical foul on him one time just for laughing, sitting on the bench. And I certainly hope that the NBA doesn't go down that road where it's just like, okay, we're not going to allow freedom of speech on the field because that's a problem, not just on the NFL field, but also in this country. But that's another story. The worst thing that you can do as an NFL fan or an NBA fan or a fan of any other sport is overreact. The worst thing that you can do as an NFL official is to overreact. The worst thing that you can do as a coach or a general manager is to overreact. And that's exactly what these NFL officials have done in this situation. So the officials that called the Chiefs-Raiders game, it is not their fault that Tua Tagovailoa got a concussion. It has nothing to do with them. It is not your job to legislate the game based on what happened to Tua Tagovailoa, because that was a completely different game. We do not adjust our opinions of plays or anything like that on the game that we are currently officiating based on what happened in a different game. And that's exactly what happened here. And that's a tragedy for the game of football because your job as an NFL official is to do your job. It's not to overreact based on what happened in this game or that game. Nobody's going to hold these guys responsible for the fact that Tua Tagovailoa has a head injury. has nothing to do with your job as an official. So my point would be, rather than overreact, we do this every single year. Let's give the NFL a chance to get it right, because the NFL has made adjustments from year to year, and they can do that again this year. Now, I personally, I think flags should be reviewable, but also non-flags should be reviewable. And I'm not saying that we need to get to a point where we review everything, but if an official makes a mistake, whether that be he threw a flag or he didn't throw a flag, let's get it right. And I think my biggest issue from the entire weekend was actually the fact that Tom Brady got kind of tossed sideways, and he was bitching and moaning as he usually does, and the officials threw a flag. Meanwhile, Patrick Mahomes got thrown sideways, basically in an identical manner, and they don't call that. They don't. I feel like, I don't know if it's because I'm a Chiefs fan, but Patrick Mahomes doesn't seem to get those calls. You can just sling him everywhere sideways. He never gets the damn call.
I think it's kind of the way
Tom
he plays,
Brady,
though.
But Tom Brady always gets the call. And I don't know what it is, but it's like,
I think it's the play style.
We need to make the game more fair. And I know there are a lot of different variables that can or can't happen to make that happen. But it's just,
I think part of it's
we got to make the
perception.
game fair.
Yeah.
I think part of what you're talking about there is a perception of certain players in the league. And the Lamar Jacksons of the world, who are well known for their running style, and you do that same thing to him, and we're just going, oh, no big deal. I mean, he's a running back, right? Basically, he carries the ball 15 times a game. Whereas like Tom Brady, who's a statue back there, and he's 45 years old, they're going, oh, you got to take it easy on him. They play the same damn position. They both should be equally treated the exact same. I don't care about how old Tom Brady is. He's choosing to play in this league, and I don't care that Lamar Jackson likes to run the ball 15 times a game. And I don't care that Patrick Mahomes is mobile. I don't care. I want things to be called equally and fairly. I don't care what kind of style. Just because you're a dual threat quarterback compared to a statue does not mean you should be treated differently. It needs to be called equally down the middle of the situation. And if Grady Jarrett came around and let's say Lamar Jackson had stayed in the pocket and took that same sack,
he would have got the call.
It's a sack, and we're moving on. Atlanta might get a win in that case. Who knows?
It kind of reminds me of Shaquille O'Neal back in the day. Like you could foul
the hack of the Shaq.
You could foul the living
hack of
shit
Shaq
out
all
of him,
day,
dude. But he was so much stronger than everybody else. Like, oh well, it's Shaquille O'Neal. We foul him all game long.
So it's like, well, he can take it. He can take it.
He can take it.
Right.
And it's kind of the same. I mean, Josh Allen. A lot of these guys are big guys, like Josh Allen.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to call it the same way. I mean, Josh Allen eventually, at some point, is going to get pummeled, and they're not going to they're not going to throw a flag.
I'm not here to
big.
coddle to certain players who cannot fit the mold of today's younger player.
Today's play style,
and
essentially, that's required.
I'm not here to coddle Tom Brady and because he's an older guy and he doesn't move around very well, and we're gonna tackle him to the ground and it's like, oh, I gotta throw a flag. I'm not interested in that. I want the game itself to be played fairly, and that's something that I think we need to get figured out in the NFL, and they need to quit holding certain players to a different standard than others when it comes to, throwing roughing penalties. And that's something that I have a big problem with. I don't know what the exact option is right now, but I do agree with Chris Jones when he talked about after the game, which was that these plays should be reviewable.
You've got to review everything, dude.
So are you saying review is the only way to do it?
The review is the only way to do it. I'm going to give you another example. I'm going to give you another example because the Chiefs fans, credit to them, they were booing the shit out of those refs in the first half. They were saying, ref, you suck, over and over again. I don't know how long it lasted. And credit to them because there were a couple of key calls that the Chiefs actually got in the second half. And I can remember the referee actually getting on his microphone at some point, and he was literally choked up. He was like, I don't know if he was trembling or what, but he just couldn't talk. He couldn't talk right. And I was like, these fans have actually gotten under his skin. And he gave favorable calls to the Chiefs sometimes in the second half.
Right.
But
and we've met referees in the past who denied they would
Right.
do makeup calls.
But it shouldn't have to be like that. You shouldn't have to feel pressure from the fans. You should just be able to make your right call in the moment. And if you're getting emotional at the time, which all human beings do, players make mistakes, referees make mistakes. If you happen to be emotional in that moment in time, guess what? It's okay. We can review that shit and get it right.
Mhm.
And not put so much pressure on the referees to be fucking perfect.
Here's
which
part
is
of the
what people
problem.
expect.
Is that dumbass Carl Schaefer's decided after the game to double down on his choice.
He did double
Sure.
down.
And say that reviews wouldn't have mattered. It still would have been the same thing. And even his description of what happened during the play was inaccurate. And so to me, it's at that point you're just a dumbass. Like,
Well,
go screw yourself. Like,
he's
because
also trying
first
to
of all,
keep a job.
he can't
he's
figure it
trying
out.
to keep a job.
No, I
And
would
so
I would much more respect a referee who just openly admits, hey, I screwed up on this. It was too late for me to go back on it. And I made the choice in the middle of that game, and I'm going to do better at calling games from here on out. I can respect a referee for that way more than I can. Okay, I'm an idiot, and I'm gonna be even more of an idiot now and double down on my choice, because now it's like you can get the
Well,
hell
he's
out of
sticking
this
to his
damn league.
guns, right?
No, you can get the hell out of this league.
He's sticking to his guns.
it's just a high
Okay,
pressure.
that means you suck at your goddamn job then.
It's a high pressure situation. I just feel like we put more on the refs than we do the players. I'll give you another example. So I actually liked the play by Devontae Adams when he
Held Jalen
was
Watson
and nobody pointed this
carried all
out.
the way down.
He was trying to do the right thing, get both feet down, but at the same time, he wanted to get out of bounds and stop the clock. Well, he got the 2 feet down before he had control.
Oh, you're talking about the bobble.
Yeah, I'm talking about the bobble.
Okay.
He did the exact right thing, but it didn't work out because he didn't have control but he was trying to get out of bounds.
Yeah.
So he was trying to do the right thing. My point is, like, players make mistakes. They don't take as much heat. Well, Devontae Adams did because he had a misdemeanor charge, but that's a different story. The referees take more heat than the players do. So players make a mistake. Yeah, sure. We all talk shit on them. But the referees, when they make a mistake, they take more heat. And so why don't we just have more reviews and make it
Longer
a little bit
games.
easier on the officials to where they're not getting fucking death threats at the end of every
Well,
fucking
I think
game.
some of these guys don't actually understand the game, and Carl is one of these guys that's been involved in the
that's a
sport
different
for a
story.
long
If
time.
you want to target one guy,
Who-
that's a different
and
story.
You and I have been to a referee convention,
Sure.
and we've met referees that are in the league even today, as a matter of fact, still. And we had got to sit there and interview them, ask questions, and so on. And those are both very, very nice guys. But I mean, no matter what kind of question you would ask, I mean, I feel like they're not going to give you an honest answer about certain things when it comes to your questions about biasy during games and makeup calls and so on and betting and all that kind of stuff. They would never admit to those things because that would literally harm their career as a referee. But I mean, these guys, as we've talked about it in the past, are not full-time officials yet. Still guys who are, this is their part-time gig across from whatever else they do in their spare time. And we all know most of them are lawyers, which makes a lot of sense when it comes to the way these guys conduct themselves. And especially refusing to acknowledge their mistakes. Because as a lawyer, you would never do that. You always double down on
Always
whatever.
say that you're right.
You're always right. You're always
right.
Right. So, welcome to the NFL officials, and we need to figure out a way to fix these guys and to get the new ones that are being brought into the league now fixed up, trained well enough for what to do during games, and as well as if you want to put a bug in the ear about like, hey, this week we need to focus on this or that more because they do get that.
That's what happened
need-
probably this time around.
Yes, but we need to figure out how to not go so overboard to where it destroys the game for a week, and we can't have just regular officiating. And also, the Tua Tagovailoa situation really didn't have anything to do with being sacked improperly, but yet
No,
that's who they
right.
took it out on. They took it out on
Oh yeah.
Grady Jarrett and Chris Jones.
Yeah.
Tua's situation was not because he was sacked improperly.
Right.
It
Has
was
nothing to do with it.
Totally
It's
different
The
situation.
sensitivity
And
coming from the league
Sensitivity
that caused
and
the
because
refs to have to call these calls.
and because the Dolphins, who put him through concussion protocol, he supposedly passed it. They played him the next week, and then we saw him have a severe injury afterwards, severe concussion afterwards. those things are not the same as what we saw this past week in
Correct.
football. And that's why, can we not separate the fact that Tua's injury and concussion was a completely different situation from what we saw between wrapping up and throwing down Brady versus in Chris Jones, sack stripping Derek Carr?
But
Come
whose
on.
fault? Whose fault is that? Did Roger Goodell just come out and say after that concussion happened, "Hey, we've got an injured player here.
They have meetings
and we need to
every week.
we need to just be mindful of that when you call
It's-
your next game." Like, did he really come out and say that? I mean, that's kind of
Well,
a weak.
it's kind
on
of a
his
trickle down
part.
effect because they do have meetings about this every single week, and you hear one thing from up here about what to focus on. From there, they have a meeting, and then there you have your focus.
The officiating, whatever council, whatever you want
That's,
to call
that's
them,
how
boss,
it works.
and it just goes down from there.
It's just ridiculous. You can't impact the game like that in a positive manner. If you want to have a positive impact, let's go back and pay off some of these guys that had CTE like 30 years ago. If you really want to have a positive impact, let's help those guys. Let's not impact the outcome of future games based on a knee-jerk reaction. That's the biggest problem I have.
So you guys talked about solutions, right? You think reviewing is the only way to fix this?
Well, I don't know if it's the only way, but it's my current look. If,
I
if
got
they want to
you.
go that way with it, I'm going to say review these damn things until you get it right.
I got the current way right now, and we're doing it with this Tua situation right now that we saw this last weekend. We saw guys getting pulled a play or two after they might have hit they showed signs, right? So New York's up there watching these games, pulling players out, saying, "Hey, we got to check this guy. We got to check this guy." Right? That happened to a couple of our guys, throughout Sunday as well.
Well, it also happened to Teddy Bridgewater.
Teddy, with no, by the way, no symptoms on that.
Well,
I have no clue.
he
what
got
they
up
saw.
slowly, and they were kind of watching him. They accused him of stumbling,
Yeah, which I
which
never
I don't
saw.
think he stumbled.
I
but-
never saw. I posted a video on that Monday night too. So here's the thing: New York has the ability to watch over these calls, so we don't have to spend 90 hours reviewing every single play. New York should be able to say, "Hey, this is actually a clean sack." Get the call to the refs. They have the overall power, right? They have the overall power to eject somebody that we saw on Sunday come into play 2 plays later for touching the ref. They have power. There's no reason why we have to waste time reviewing plays with our current ref situation when New York can just hop in the air real quick and say, "Hey, we reviewed this a couple times real quick. It's a safe play. This should have been the sack fumble. Should be your Chiefs ball."
Mhm.
That should be the capability. This shouldn't be pass interference. This shouldn't be that. There's no reason why New York can't already make the call ahead of time.
And I want to say New York was never involved in the decision
Never.
on the Chris Jones
No.
situation.
Never.
So they never even had an input at all from their end of things. It was purely discussed by the referees on the field, and they made their choice, which could have been a game-changing decision right there. I know it was a second quarter, but same time, if things had fallen the worst way for the Chiefs would lose that game, and we're going to look back at
Yeah.
this for a long
So-
time and go, here we go, screwed again.
So throwing
by a stupid
reviews on
referee.
the flagging every play, throwing reviews down, it's only going to slow down the game. Next thing you know, you have baseball. Okay, that's taking 4 hours to play a football game.
Look,
Instead, you can have New York keep the speed going.
We don't
Sure.
have
Be able to make
we
that
don't have
calls.
that problem, Tanner. Nobody
Right.
gets bored by sitting there and watching a 3.5 hour football game.
Did you not get
Right.
bored
You have
Thursday
a
night?
huge
No.
problem in the
okay,
game of
Tanner,
baseball.
that was one of the worst games we've ever seen. Okay,
Look,
so Jason,
just
you're
saying,
absolutely right about
if you're
that.
if you're
Nobody
reviewing
cares.
every play,
People
though,
don't mind.
An NFL.
you don't mind
The
reviewing.
NFL game is an event. It's a huge event.
You want to review
I'm going
9
to tell you
times a
something
game.
right now. An NFL game could be 5 hours, including commercials.
People.
Nobody would give a shit.
Look,
They would sit there. The
I ain't sitting
entire
there trying
time.
to
Yes.
9 hours.
No,
9 hours,
I might not
okay?
watch 5 hours of the Broncos Colts
No,
because I'm
not all
struggling.
of the games.
Look, that's different, Tanner. That's
That's a
different.
different story.
Don't use that as a damn. It's an anomaly. As
Look,
we, as
what
we
else
call
am I
it.
supposed to use?
But some people can't even sit through 1 hour of baseball.
Okay, but here's the thing. At the end of the day, the truth is adding any kind of reviews to these penalties to the NFL games maybe will give an extra 5 to 10 minutes at the most on average per game.
Let's just keep the
extension.
same amount of reviews, right? You got your 2 or
Sure,
whatever.
you got your. So here's the use your.
There
you
you
could
go.
use challenges. I
Give
think you
them
should be able
20
to use.
minutes.
Do your
Nobody's gonna
challenges.
care.
No, I agree with that.
like we
but-
did a
Get it
pass
right.
interference deal a couple years ago.
But I agree you should be able to use challenges on penalties because most of the time challenges are not. Well, you get 2 per game.
Yeah.
And if you get both, you get the third.
Yeah.
Right. That's
We
how it
don't want to
works.
review. We just want to challenge to
So-
have force to review.
So, what my opinion is on that is that we should allow coaches to challenge bad penalties.
Okay, I'm okay with
and
that.
you should be able to do that.
I don't want to just add challenges and reviews and then sitting down for 400 times and
Okay,
reviewing. So.
Yes. Well, we are.
But
we
New
don't-
York
we don't need to
can
review.
solve that solution right away.
Sure, they can do it very fast.
We're going to go to them anyway, so.
So I agree with that. I think there's ways to get this thing figured out, and the doofuses on the field need to get their shit figured out
Correct.
because these guys are a bunch of turds, and so I don't really know who my favorite referee crew is in the NFL anymore. But I'll tell you right now that Carl Schaefer's, Jerome Boger of the world, those kind of guys. Just we've seen a lot of bad crews in the past, and of course, Ed Hockley has had some frustrating calls in his career. Of course, he was more interested in flexing his muscles than he was making accurate calls. And referees
Can
do
you
have
blame them?
referees do have a tough job. At the same time, the crews that I like the most are the ones that just kind of let the players play.
Let it happen.
Maybe you got to throw 5 to 10 flags per game. Maybe there's a legitimate PI. Maybe there's offsides here, this and that. And we saw the Raiders towards the end of the game. Of course, I felt like got kind of screwed as well in the field goal attempt
Yeah.
because when's the last time you saw a
Holding.
defensive holding on a field goal attempt? And I went back and rewatched that play,
I couldn't find it.
and I'm like, no, this looks like a very just normal. But it was a makeup call.
It was a fucking makeup call.
And that's the one thing that they will never admit
Because
they
the
do.
The Chiefs fans gave him so much shit that he just got emotional. He's like, "Oh my gosh, I've got to pay that back."
And it's awful that one horrible call from Chris Jones is the thing that made the referees at that point shit their pants and have to, from the rest of that game, how to start favoring the Chiefs because they did.
I don't
did.
think it was the call. I think it was the fans.
Well, sure,
They
it was the
fucking
fans.
obliterated.
It was the fans.
They obliterated.
It was the fans, but they need to admit that their call in the first place was a mistake.
Yeah.
And they won't do that. But
If that would have happened to the LA Chargers, who have no fans, then there would have been no payback calls. And that's
But-
the other problem.
The Chargers and the Rams.
And the Rams.
It's all visiting fans anyways.
If you don't
there.
have any fans, then the refs think all of a sudden, oh, I made the right call there.
Get away with
Let's
that
keep it
one.
going.
right. Well, that was a great conversation, you guys. I'm glad we got that off of our chest a little bit because that was a hell of a big topic.
Yeah.
And I don't know how Tater's feeling over there, but
I was pretty emotional on Monday
We-
night when that happened.
Yeah,
I
you-
think
you were all over the
we
Twitter.
were all
You were-
emotional.
I
very
was
emotional.
I
were
was
on
in the
Twitter.
middle of my show. I was doing Twitter. I'm capital. I don't even know what. I think I was on the Sports and Foods Twitter.
yeah, you were on the
Obviously,
Twitter
saw it.
because
I don't even know what I was doing. I was just like yelling on the Twitter. I'm yelling on the mic while Jim Behringer's trying to talk, and I'm just all mad and everything. I'm like, I don't even
Yeah.
care. I'm in Facebook Messenger with some of the NFL guys I'm with, and I'm messaging them like I'm blowing everybody up. Okay,
Yeah,
it was a big
quite
bogus call.
It was quite a.
I was pissed because
Messed up
they
call.
rigged the damn game. That was not a
That's the whole
close
reason
game.
why it was a
And
one
we all
point game.
understand that. That was
Yeah.
not what
That
it
was the only
30
reason
to
why
29
It
or
was a
whatever
30-29 game.
It was not
No.
a close game. That should have been a blowout.
Hey,
Well, here's the Raiders went up 17-0 in
Yeah,
this game.
correct.
Just remember that.
They did.
Yes.
Well, they've won 17-0 before.
I know. I'm just saying. I can't say it's not a close game. The Chiefs' offense took some time to get going.
Took
But
a
at
long
some
time.
point, somebody's up there pulling some strings when the Chiefs are winning, and they say, okay, now we must make sure that the Raiders cover. What exactly do you think made that happen? It was the Chris Jones call.
Hey, you know what?
That was not going to be a close
All
game.
I'm gonna say is shout out to Hunter Renfro for making the Raiders lose in like 2 games now.
That game was rigged.
Hunter
You know
Renfro
it.
is killing it.
Oh, that ending was funny.
You know
I'll say
it.
that.
That game was rigged.
Not only did he fumble twice in the Cardinals game to lose that game, and then he did that in the final play of the Chiefs. Granted, no, I don't think Devontae was going to get the ball,
Let me ask
but
you this.
that
guys.
was
Let me ask
phenomenal.
You this. If you knew that you had to make sure that the Chiefs win, and you also have to make sure that the Raiders cover, how would you do it? Problem solved. That's exactly how you would do it.
All right, guys. You know Chris Berman's little show where he does fastest 3 minutes? Let's do fastest 3 minutes of buy low, sell high on fantasy football players. Tanner, you go first.
Oh, I thought you were coming with the list.
A list.
That's
didn't come
what
up
I
with a
asked
list.
you.
No, I want you to give me somebody who's a buy low, sell high. So
Kyle
like,
Pitts.
God damn, you stole my guy.
Hurry
Okay.
Kyle Pitts.
Kyle Pitts is. I love Kyle Pitts as an
Buy
option
low.
for a
Okay.
buy low. You got one? You got somebody?
Buy low. Aaron Rodgers, slow start to the season, as usual. but he's going to heat up. He's got a favorable schedule towards the end of the year. And I think those receivers are going to do okay. They're going to be elevated by Aaron Rodgers' play. So I'm going to buy low Aaron Rodgers.
I like a good buy low right now on Michael Pittman because Michael Pittman Jr. coming into this year to me was going to be a top 5 wide receiver. Right now, he's sitting well below that. So, but I think that the upside still Michael Pittman is there. Matt Ryan is the biggest issue at hand with Michael Pittman. It's not a Michael Pittman issue. It's a Matt Ryan issue right now.
Well, you know what the biggest issue is that it's the JG curse because JG drafted all 3 of those fucks. I drafted Jonathan Taylor, Michael Pittman, and Matty Ice. Now I cut Matty Ice.
Hold on.
He'll probably start to do a little bit better.
Your
now.
first 3 picks, Jason, were Jonathan Taylor, Michael Pittman, Kyle Pitts.
No, I know.
What?
But I also drafted Matty Ice. So I
Oh my God.
curse on all of those fuckers.
Yeah. So that's amazing right
Okay,
there.
AJ Dillon,
AJ Dillon's one of your buy lows.
and you can even put the case into Swift. I've seen them to play too.
I can see Swift. I mean, AJ Dillon. AJ Dillon's also on JG's team.
He's
so
also on
he's full of those kind of
Oh,
guys
it's
on it.
amazing, dude. I'm
He's-
so happy I drafted
The
that guy.
underachievers. You should rename
Oh,
your team.
I'm so happy I drafted
JG's
that guy.
underachievers.
You could still, I mean, you could do that
we should
too,
call
I
him.
guess.
Injured bums, underachievers.
Who
You
are
know,
you going to
whatever.
sell, guys? Who are you going to sell?
Okay, so Tanner, you got to go
Sell
for that one.
high. If we're selling high, I'm probably going out and well, it was Rashad Penny till after this weekend in that play. I think I could still get something out of Cordell Patterson, even though he's on the IR right now. I think you could still sell high on Cordell Patterson.
I don't know, man. The guy's 31 years old.
But
I don't know.
he's effective when he's on the field, and that offense uses him a bunch.
That's a rough one, man. What are you going to get for him? I mean, he was only worth like this year, like a 6th round pick, something like that.
You can get something, I'm sure.
That's a tough one.
Probably
man.
a 4th or 5th.
Who's your sell high, Jason?
Let's sell high on Saquon Barkley. He's currently the RB3. 533 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 18 receptions. I don't know, man. I just don't trust the guy. I don't trust the Giants. I don't trust Barkley to stay healthy. I do trust Brian Dable, but that's the only thing I trust on that fucking team. So I'm gonna sell high on Saquon.
Yeah, I don't really have a guy for this question, so I'm not gonna lie.
What about sell high on I just lost it. Oh, it was Debo.
Debo Samuel?
You
I
do-
didn't like
Wait,
him
took
coming to the
yours. That's why you don't have anybody. I took yours again. Did I take your player?
No, I
Oh.
legitimately don't have a guy for this question.
Oh.
Is all. So I did have it. I just had the buy low, which was Pittman. But
I mean, I was thinking Debo though, just because that 49ers offense, you don't really know what's going on there, and he's the guy that you could probably turn
Well,
for a couple players.
that would make sense because I mean he did have a big breakaway play just a week ago. So obviously he still showed he's capable of making big
He's
splash
capable,
plays.
but it's not going to be I don't
Um,
think a week to week thing.
You gotta find a guy in your league though who's really been into Debo and that you know has really hyped him up. Because not every league, I'm not a big Debo Samuel fan.
Yeah.
Like I don't mind him, but I'm not a guy that's like, oh wow, he's so amazing. You know, he's like a big Tyreek Hill. Like I'm not at all like.
He
looking at
does
him
get
that way.
banged up from time to time.
Sure, yeah, of course. I'm not a big Debo Samuel fan just in general. Like I don't know what his upside is. I think he's
Well,
already hit his upside actually.
When we
so.
think about it, in some ways, Kyle Shanahan made Debo Samuel. He wouldn't
Oh,
have been
no,
Debo
that's
Samuel
true.
in a lot of other teams.
Absolutely.
We do.
Absolutely.
So, Sirianni did respond. He has Justin Herbert as his quarterback.
Why did I know that? That's so
So-
weird. That's who I said.
Okay.
That's who it was.
Yeah. So you just gotta. I think you just gotta chill. Like
You got to let it ride, dude.
yes, like it's one of
Yeah.
those things.
Gotta
It's
let
just
it
bad
ride.
luck going to play.
I love the question, but like, yeah, just
Yeah.
leave your team alone. I know you're 0-5, but just stick it out.
You got to trust your instincts. Like if you drafted the right team and it doesn't work out, you just got to live with it. You know, you drafted a good team and just let it ride. See
All
what
right,
happens.
I got a
Yeah.
trade offer here. Jake Pavlik. And Jake, thanks for commenting in and watching us here. He says, do I win Dalvin Cook and Juju for JT and Godwin?
All right. Dalvin Cook, Juju Smith-Schuster coming from his team.
He's getting JT
Oh, he's-
in Godwin.
He's
Sorry.
getting JT and Gold. Yeah, I like that. I think I like that quite a bit. I do want to say I think Juju Smith-Schuster so far to this point has slightly underachieved in the stat production field.
Agreed.
I think for the sake of the Chiefs offense, what you're seeing is kind of what we've planned. And not the 0 touchdown thing, but we've planned because we knew we'd be spreading the ball around all year.
Mhm.
And we saw Marquez Valdes-Scantling put up 90 yards last week, but Juju Smith-Schuster put up 89 yards against the Colts. No touchdowns, but they almost had identical numbers from a catches and yard standpoint in respective games. But the difference was the touchdowns are not happening. The touchdowns are all going to Travis Kelce.
Correct.
I mean, that's what's
Correct.
going on right now with this Chiefs
Kelsey
offense.
still dominant. Clyde's still
And-
dominant. McKinnon
And we're
still
seeing
dominant.
more Sky Moore be integrated now into the offense as time goes on. And then
Maybe
Hardman
he has had a
a-
decent game last week.
That's
too.
what I'm
So,
saying,
yeah.
Tanner. Is like we're just spreading
It's
the ball around.
to be able to consider a number one weapon.
Yeah, I would not blame you at all for getting rid of Juju now, but I do like adding JT quite a bit. I mean, he is, besides Nick Chubb, my favorite running back in the NFL.
It'll come back to him.
I like getting JT and Godwin, but I especially like getting rid of Dalvin Cook because we all know at some point he's going to injure his dick.
He does.
Well,
do
he already
that.
did.
He
But
does do
then he's
that.
back.
But
He's
you
going
know,
to injure his dick.
injure his
again.
dick for a while and then comes back. I guess. I mean,
Yeah, I like
Mhm.
the JT. Man. I think there's, granted, this is
I
his
like-
first injury since junior high school for JT, and I think the schedule he has coming up, it's just asking for him to have a comeback already this year.
yeah, I'm gonna say he won that trade.
I'd say
Because
JT and Godwin's a good.
I like
pickup.
Godwin quite a bit. I think Godwin's a phenomenal receiver. I know he's dealt with injury issues, of course,
Thank
throughout his
God, but
career.
he's on the comeback as well. Like he
Sure,
hasn't
yeah.
done a whole lot. He's on the comeback
Sure.
trail.
I like Godwin quite a bit. I think you're going to get more consistency when he's on the field from Godwin than you will from Juju.
Agreed.
Whereas running back to running back, where it's between Dalvin and JT, I mean, I'll take a healthy JT over a healthy Dalvin, even though I like both players. I prefer JT because I just think he put up 1850 last year, so I mean, I'm a big fan of JT. So I don't. Anyways, pretty close to an even trade.
I would say.
But I do think that our commenter there won his deal on that one.
Yeah, definitely. If you guys have your more fantasy football questions and such, you always check us out every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Central here on Sports Buffoons. Just drop them in the chat. Go like, subscribe, hit that bell. You'll know when we're live. So
And we were going to talk Chiefs Bills today, but we're going to hold off for the
kind of
weekend.
did in a way.
I know, but we're going to, of course, Tanner, this is the biggest game of the year. We're going to have to dig into this later on
Look,
this week.
I'm not taking this as the biggest game of the year.
Tanner, it's literally the two best teams in the NFL besides the Eagles.
Give me
You guys
the,
don't want to hit on this?
give me the
You don't-
AFC
you don't wanna hit
divisional.
on the game just for
I-
like 2 seconds.
It's not going to be a 2-second conversation, Jason.
All right.
That's all. That's all.
I honestly don't even think the Chiefs Bills game is the biggest game of the weekend. So
Of the weekend?
yeah, I don't. I'm not.
What's wrong with you?
It's the same thing as last year.
He just said the two best teams in the AFC is not the biggest game of the weekend.
not the one
Hey.
I'm looking forward to.
You know what? What's going to happen if the Bills win? Who gives a shit? They
Guess
did
what?
the same thing during the regular season last year, and guess what? That game
My-
didn't mean shit.
My power rankings are probably
Game
still be
didn't
the
mean shit.
same. It'll still be probably Bills Chiefs right there. Like they're not going down, they're not going up.
And even if it's a blowout, 34-17.
If it's a blowout, then whoever that blowout team lost,
Well,
maybe they do go.
I know
down.
how Tanner's brain works because the best team's the Eagles. They're undefeated, so they're MVP.
They're MVP.
They're the MVP.
yeah,
Right.
Jalen
Jalen Hurts.
Hurts.
Jalen Urts is the MVP.
Now-
Jalen Hurts is the MVP of the
So
league.
my Whiskey
Okay.
Sports podcast, I did drop the power rankings out this morning. I did it live last night. Eagles 1, the Cowboys at 5. 1-5 matchup.
No, wait a second. Who's your MVP of the league right now?
I don't have MVP right now.
It's Jalen Hurts because they're 5-0.
No, it's not
All right.
Jalen Hurts.
Tanner, every year you go, oh, whoever's undefeated, that's their
No,
quarterback.
no,
That's
no,
the MVP.
I didn't say that. Not
we
this
we
time
need
around.
to do an MVP. We got.
That's right. It has to be a crappy player because normally it's either Ben Roethlisberger or Baker Mayfield.
You want
or-
to know who my MVP is?
Oh, who knows?
You want to know who the MVP is?
Well, I'm pretty sure
He
the
likes
best,
bad. He likes bad
The
players.
best passer rating right now in the league is Mahomes. So
I'd
I think
actually.
he should be the
I don't
best
know.
player.
Is
in
he?
the league,
Is he number
right?
one right now?
I'll look.
I
I'll
think
look
he's
real
a-
quick.
Actually, he
close.
is. I think he is
Close.
actually. I think right now he actually is. His total
So if
QBR.
you give out the award right now, that you have to give it to Mahomes. He's got the best passer rating.
yeah, I think he has-
No, it's not. It's actually Geno Smith.
Oh God,
Geno Smith is your MVP, guys. There we go.
that's the pick.
Yeah.
That's the pick of the
Not-
year.
That's not
There it
even
is.
true.
That's the
He
pick
just
of the
pulled
year,
that
Geno
out.
There it
Smith.
is.
True,
Geno
man. Stop
Smith.
That's what
lying.
I wanted to hear right there.
You
First
can't
it
lie
was
to-
Sam Darnold, and then it was Ben Roethlisberger.
I already forgot. What
You
was he
can't
looking
lie
for?
to people like that, Tanner.
What was
Not
he
when
looking
we're
for?
live, I mean,
Now and then Geno Smith this year. It's
What were you
Geno
looking
Smith.
for?
He wanted to know quarterback rating.
The quarterback rating?
no,
Yes.
I want to know the passer rate. I don't care about
right.
QBR is Irrelevant.
Right,
Oh
right,
my
right.
Because you got
right.
guys
So,
like
right,
Tyler Boyd that threw one damn pass.
right,
Okay,
right.
I want passer rating. I don't give a shit
Okay,
about the
hang
QBR.
on. I'm looking it up
Fuck the
right now
QBR.
for you.
Now you're talking about ESPN's QBR. That's the one you hate.
Somebody's.
'Cause I hate that one.
I hate all of them. I want to know the passer rating.
I
And
like-
Mahomes is
Right.
number one right
I like
now.
passer rating the most because it's been around for a long time. It's not
Passer
subjective,
rating.
it's mathematical.
Is Geno Smith leading
Right.
at
It really is.
113.2?
Of course it is.
Patrick
113.
Mahomes at
Well, I'll tell you
110.
what. If you want to
And
crown
Tua
him,
at 109.
if you want to crown Geno Smith, then crown him. Crown his ass. He's the MVP. Just give him the trophy.
Just
right
giving it
now.
to him, dude.
I'll tell
Give
you
him
guys
the
this
damn
much.
trophy, Tanner.
Anytime, Jay.
He's playing better than Russell Wilson.
Well, that's not very difficult.
Hey, I'm not getting into it. I
It's
talked
not
about it
very-
Monday. Russell
All right.
Wilson's assistant quarterback, everybody. Just deal with it.
All right, I'm done with this conversation today. The show went long. We ran out of topics. Well, we didn't run out of topics.
We didn't run out of
We
topics.
have topics still to go, but we ran out of time.
You guys don't want to talk about any
And
topics.
so we will get to the Chiefs Bills more later on.
Mike,
this
you're
week.
gone next week, right?
Yes, I'll be gone next Wednesday. Going to a concert, a very, very anticipated concert. So I'll be out of here going to do that for a while. So I hope you guys can hold it down, not talk too much NBA. I mean,
When Mike is gone, it's an NBA preview, guys.
Yeah, it's
We
like
can talk about
NBA
whatever
season.
we want.
right? It's
It's
like
like start the NBA season.
We-
it's like
you know-
leaving the house and letting the kids run wild.
Jason,
Exactly.
Jason, we don't even have to talk sports with Mike's gone. We can talk
Well,
whatever.
We are going to talk about the NBA because it's important.
You guys need to talk about Kanye next week.
Sure.
Talk about
sure.
Kanye and the
What
NBA.
about Kanye?
And he wants to talk about Kanye.
For what?
I think Kanye is an NBA. Does he like he likes the NBA?
I don't. I think it's like a
All day,
Kyrie
I
Irving.
think he said his one
He's
of
a
his
Kyrie
daughters-
Irving
One of
guy.
his one
I
of
don't
his
know.
daughters really likes to play basketball, so he probably is an NBA fan. But we're gonna hit on that next week, guys. It's time to do an NBA preview. I mean, for those of you who might get burned out on football from time to time, there's probably not that very many of you out there, but for those of you who are sad that baseball's almost over, let's put it that way. We
Hey.
are going to do an NBA
That was some
preview.
good playoff ball yesterday. Good
Yes.
playoff ball yesterday.
All right, guys, let's take it off the air. God damn it. Let's get out of here. So,
Crown Geno Smith. Crown his ass.
all right, guys, thank you so much for watching and tuning in to the Sports Buffoons. And
Like,
we'll be
subscribe,
back
follow everybody.
once again. Like, subscribe, follow, of course. Hit us up on the Twitter account. Tell us how stupid we are. And we'd love to respond to that as well as your fantasy questions because Mike over here is number one in the league. So I'm probably the main man you want to talk to when it comes to sports betting and fantasy football.
That's true. Let's make some money. You
He's
got to
a
make that
cheater.
money, dude.
With all that said, you guys, I'll see y'all
Cheater.
on the next one.
We're out.
You
See
say I'm
you
a cheater,
guys.
Tater?